for a front office view with our own general manager, Charley Casserly, former Redskins and Texans GM. Good morning, Charley. Always good to see you.
Good to see you.
We want to focus on the NFC East. Deshaun Jackson, the hot topic all week. Let's talk about how he impacts the other players on the Redskins offensive team you know so well.
Well, I'll tell you what he does. He does a couple of things. First of all, he takes the eighth man out of the box. That opens up the running game. The second thing is RG3 is an excellent deep thrower. There's no better deep threat in the National Football League than Deshaun Jackson. Finally, what you have is matchup issues now. Jackson beats one-on-one coverage. So does Pierre Garçon. Roberts can do it in the slot. Andre and Reed at tight end can do it. You got four tough matchups for the defense right now. But Jackson is the guy that gives them that deep threat, which opens up everything else.
All right, Charlie, you just talked about all of the threats that the Redskins have offensively. We know they've been pretty busy in free agency this offseason. Are they the team to beat after finishing last in the NFC East last season?
Well, I'll tell you what, we still haven't had the draft yet, and that is huge with all the teams in this division. Right now, to me, there's three teams that are fairly close together. The Eagles, the Giants, and the Redskins. But I'm going to give the Redskins the slight edge here. And here's why. Right there, a healthy RG3. That's like getting a new draft choice. We talked about the impact of Deshaun Jackson. Andre Roberts in the slot to move the chains. And over on defense, Jason Hatcher. So I'll give them the slight edge. But, boy, they got to get a right tackle in this draft. And I think they can do that.
All right, Charlie, let's get to my team, the Giants. They've made a ton of moves in free agency, but this just in, they still have some work to do. What holes do they need to fill here?
Well, I think they got a number. I think center's a question. J.D. Walton, they've signed him, but he hasn't played in a year and a half. I think wide receiver needs depth. Tight end, they're very young. Defensive tackle, they need some depth there. But I'll tell you, the number one thing to me is the left tackle position. They have got to get that improved. They've got to get it stabilized. It affects the whole offensive line. And more importantly, it affected the confidence of Eli Manning. And this is the draft to be able to get it done.
Charlie, we're going to go back to something you just said. You mentioned three teams in the NFC East that you thought were pretty much together. You left one out. That's the Dallas Cowboys, who really haven't done much this offseason except lose players. They're really up against the cap. Why did you leave them out? Do you think they could possibly be in contention? And which of these teams do you think has done the most?
Well, Dallas is clearly fourth. The offense is excellent, but, the defense. It was the worst in the league last year, and they're really not better right now. And hopefully the draft, in their eyes, could make them better, and their fans' eyes. I think the Giants have probably done the most as far as upgrading depth and the variety of positions that they've addressed. So I think from that angle, that's the best. But I think the Redskins have taken a group, the wide receiver group, and made it an elite group in the league. And that's why I would give them an edge, because you want something on your team to be elite, and that receiver core, I believe, is now.
All right, Charlie, let's switch gears here. There's this guy out there. His name's Jadeveon Clowney. You might have heard of him. Potential #1 overall pick. He had a tremendous pro day. All eyes were on him. He's been compared to a guy you drafted in Mario Williams and even Julius Peppers. Is he better than those two?
Well, I'll tell you, let's break them down quickly here. First of all, Clowney versus Peppers. I'd have to go Peppers in athletic ability, but I would go Clowney in instincts and actually overall consistency in his play. Then Mario Williams versus Clowney. I'd have to go Clowney on athletic ability and ability to make special type athletic plays. However, I think Mario was more explosive off the ball. He's clearly bigger, clearly stronger, played the run better, and you never had any issues about whether he was going to show up to work, commitment to play, off season. If it was even there together, I think Mario's the safer pick. Clowney has the bigger potential upside, the bigger home run potential possibility.
All right, well, Charlie, on that, Jadeveon Clowney again, where he's riding a wave of momentum right here. But you know the Texans need a quarterback. Who would you take with the first overall pick?
I don't think there's a quarterback to take. I think I would take Clowney, but I would have this discussion with Romeo Crennel. How are we going to use this guy? Ben, I don't want to see this guy dropping in coverage. Every time this guy turns to drop in coverage, the offensive tackle is cheering. The offensive tackle won because he didn't have to compete. Clowney has only one direction in this football team, and that's straight ahead. Anytime he's dropping, we're losing, the offense is winning.